Hi, I'm Mandar from Protean CRA. Welcome you to the chat show on National Pension System, that is NPS. Protean eGov Technologies Limited, formerly NSDL E-Governance Infrastructure Limited, is the first central record keeping agency CRA for NPS. We have rebranded the identity of our company, including the name, which has been changed from NSDL E-Governance Infrastructure Limited to Protean eGov Technologies Limited. As a central record-keeping agency, Protean has always been in continuous engagement with the stakeholders of NPS through various medium like NPS educational videos, podcasts, social media campaigns on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. The past 2 years were really challenging due to COVID pandemic. There were limitations on direct engagement with the stakeholders, but we were in touch digitally through online webinars and town halls on NPS. On the occasion of NPS Divas, we now bring you this chat show, which is our first attempt to create informative videos after pandemic. National Pension System, as you may be aware, was implemented first for central government employees joining service from January 1, 2004. Subsequently, most of the state governments adopted NPS for their employees. As on date, close to 8 million government employees are covered under NPS. As it is the largest constituency under NPS, our discussion today shall be more tuned towards government sector, focusing on investment of funds by pension fund managers and returns generated. And to discuss this today, we have with us Sri Sandeep Pandey, Chief Investment Officer of SBI Pension Fund Limited, which is the largest fund manager for NPS. Sandeep ji has more than a decade experience in investment management field and is associated with SBI pension funds for more than 8 years handling NPS investment. Along with him, we have Sri Amit Sinha, Group Head Social Security and Welfare, Protean eGov Technologies Limited. Amit ji has more than 3 decades of experience in financial services industry and was instrumental in conceptualization and implementation of NPS. Welcome Sandeep ji and Amit ji. To set the ball rolling, let's begin the conversation with brief overview of NPS implementation for government sector.
So welcome Sandeep. This is the first time after pandemic we are trying to shoot a video, and that too with an external expert. So we will keep it interesting. We'll talk in the language in which the subscribers of NPS, particularly government sector, understand. And in this video, what we intend to do is that we make them understand more about the investment philosophy in this. Because we, as you know, we have a lot of videos which are product and process related. But ye videos mein getting the benefit of an expert coming in, that to the largest fund manager in NPS SBI. Our subscribers would like to hear about your fund house, आपकी investment philosophy क्या है, how do you balance between the risk and return perspective, and उसके बाद हमारी चर्चा चालू रहेगी on return, how you should financial planning. These are certain things we will answer. But let's start from your philosophy of how, as a fund house, how SBI being the largest financial sector entities, you look at the whole pension space. Let's have a little conversation around, and then we go more into the deeper into the subject of NPS.
Thank you firstly for having me here. To start with, probably I'll like to say that SBI NPS or SBI pension is a very key component of the SBI umbrella, and like any other subsidiary, SBI mutual fund or SBI life, SBI pension has also got the right amount of attention that SBI group needs to give to it. And so that's one of the reasons why you see that where we are at this point of time in terms of AUM size and other things. And we also have the benefit of being under the SBI group, which has got sort of total asset under management of more than 30 lakh crore, and it's a huge repository of information, and so basically we are part of that system, which in a way is going to help the subscriber in the long run, and also see, end of the day, we have to understand that SBI has been there in the system for long, and we continue to give support to the NPS system for foreseeable future. So cut down on the SBI part, I'll start with the NPS philosophy in terms of how we manage the fund. There are policies already laid down by the regulator. Within this policy laid down by regulator, we have our own internal risk policies in terms of investment philosophies, which we use to actually generate return which is sort of commensurate to the risk that we take. So I would want to say that basically that we are actually trying to generate good amount of risk adjusted return for my subscriber. So it's not about just that I'm trying to generate return or I'm trying to take unreasonable risk. I'm trying to take generate return which is adjusted to that risk what I'm taking, which is justifying that risk that I'm taking.
So before Sandeep we get into the government sector part of the piece and the choices which subscriber has with term of scheme preferences, I would like to tell the audience who are going to listen to this is that SBI Pension Fund and SBI are not only doing the pension fund management, they are also one of the largest distributor of pension as a product. So you can go to any SBI branches and even in SBI pension fund offices and open your NPS account. So they are playing a multiple role in the system. And but again the focus today is more about thing. So the risk and the return, maybe I will keep on switching a little to Hindi and English to make our subscribers and viewers more comfortable. So हम आपसे ये सुनना चाहते हैं that आज जो गवर्नमेंट सब्सक्राइबर्स है उनके पास एक चॉइस है जिसे डिफॉल्ट चॉइस बोला जाता है, जिसपे तीनों फंड मैनेजर SBI, UTI, LIC ये तीनों जो हैं पब्लिक सेक्टर फंड मैनेजर्स हैं, इनकी चॉइसेस दी गई है. तो इसके बारे में थोड़ी बताइए. You just expand on that why it is there and how it benefit from a risk perspective, and is it the only thing available to them or they have choices also?
So to start with, I would say that the three fund managers including SBI, LIC and UTI have done a great job in terms of performance. I always believe that there is always a room to improve, but I think that they have done an excellent job in terms of multiplying or increasing the corpus of the subscriber until now. Since inception, the return that have been generated has been in the range of 9.5 to 9.7%. This is as of 31st March that I'm trying to talk. So as far as performance is considered, they have been par, given the constraint or given the guidelines that are there for the fund managers to operate provided by the regulator. Okay, so they have used this to the fullest and tried to give best performance that they can. Over and above this, the subscriber always has a choice in terms of in these default your maximum exposure to equity is 15%, but if you have if you take sort of get into other forms of investment through these schemes only, which is something like moderate. So there are two parts to it, right? One is auto choice and the other is your active choice. So if you are taking active choice, I think you can go up to 75% in equity exposure, and within if you are not going for active choice and you are going for sort of where the PFID has designed something which is based on your life cycle, and that's a very nicely designed and thought through structure that they have for the subscriber. If they are going there, there also they have a choice in the moderate where they can go up to 50% into equity, or maybe sort of 25% into the less aggressive scheme into equity. So as a subscriber you have various options available. So assuming that you are comfortable with SBI as a fund manager, and you think that you want to increase your equity exposure, okay, so you can always shift to one of these active choices or sort of the choices that you have in terms of moderate and slightly less aggressive schemes, and you can increase your equity exposure. So this I'll talk about in terms of your equity return and all.
Before we move to the next set of questions, let me tell the subscribers and the viewers here that there are two components on which Sandeep touched. One is that there is a default scheme of government investment on which they need to do investment, and there is a flair also where they need to can change. इसको अगर मैं layman term में if I want to see, it is like a car which you are driving where there is a gear, there is an accelerator and you want to do that, or there is a choice which is you put the car on a cruise control and let the car be driven by it. Right. So I think NPS has both the options where you can put the car on a cruise control. But the larger point which I want to leave before we move the next question is that for government subscribers who join in the age of 20 to 25 and may have very little understanding of financial product, the default choice have been brought because of that.
Right.
So they start with a default choice where there is no concentration risk. My money is invested in 3 fund managers, and then subsequently when I understand the DIT system, I can always move to an active choice or life cycle choice, which call of it. So I think it has been an excellent proposition.
I want to add to this point where you talked about the concentration risk. So if you are actually going with one PFM, so normally PFMs or the fund managers, they play a cycle in terms of strategy, okay. So maybe UTI might have one strategy while SBI will have another strategy and LIC may have a different strategy. One strategy may work in a particular cycle, the other strategy may not work, okay. So in that case, the SBI will be benefiting you or LIC will be benefiting you. So on an average, if you look, being part of this default scheme, it actually helps you. It helps you because the benefit of all the 3 different strategies accumulate to you in terms of your performance.
Excellent point. We will discuss little more on this. Before we move, I want to tell the viewers here that on government subscribers selecting any other fund managers or selecting an auto choice, we have a very detailed video in our NPS Ki Pathshala, and I will request all the subscribers to go through that video, which is very informative, and on where they can find when, at what point of time they should exercise this choice and what should they do about it.
So, sir, ऐसा है कि you are associated with this. I think you are the oldest institution who is associated with NPS after maybe regulator and NPS trust. So I know what you do, but for my subscriber, I would actually want you to give them a glimpse of what exactly you do and how do you do, so that they have a better understanding of Protean as an institution.
I think that's a good point to Sandeep to take it up, because there have been a gap of 2 years where we have not communicated to the subscriber in a real sense, meeting them, talking to them, and in between, as Mandar called out, we changed our name from NSDL to Protean, our logo has changed, but the team and everything has remained the same. So you are correct, we are the oldest stakeholder in this system in a way that before the whole process started. So one is that the Protean CRA is the fulcrum of the NPS architecture. So whether it is fund manager, whether it is government officers, whether it is the custodian, whether the bank, सारे स्टेकहोल्डर इससे जुड़े हुए हैं और उनकी एक दूसरे की वार्तालाप भी जो है इसी सिस्टम से होती है. So it's very important. Now 2 things which I am telling the government subscriber in particular, every month when you get your salary bill, once the salary is credited, immediately your NPS account money also gets credited within the next 4-5 days. Now that is the most important functions of the record keeping agency. Just to give a number, every day 600 to 700 crores of money get invested in NPS, which are coming from the employers, or sometimes people like you are also making investment. So one of the most important job of me, my system, my colleagues is that to be connected with all the government offices and make sure that the money coming in right. Now this is a question which I am going to ask you, that the timely investment of the money is so important. So we ensure we have a regular meeting, we have reports where we talk to various levels of officers. Now in government there are various levels of officers to ensure that as soon as the salary get deducted, the money moves into the system. Uske baad it becomes your job to keep it invested and make money.
Right.
So as we move to this question, Sandeep, what I want you to answer from a subscriber perspective, so do prominent kind of a noises which we hear. One is that NPS is all about share market and things can really go wrong, share market, our whole money would be lost. Secondly, the which people do not understand that the any subscriber in this system is going to stay for the next 30 years. Now there are no product in the financial sector in my mind where somebody can get invested and stay for 30 years. So this ability to have a product which have a 3 decades or plus of horizon, and how the risk return perspective from an equity investment are being taken care of, I would like you to address them and tell them.
Sure, I think that's a very valid question. So thing is that, let me first give you perspective of what sort of wealth creation means. Okay, so wealth creation does not only happen from savings. Okay, when saving is put to use in terms of investments and generate good return, is when you actually create wealth for yourself. Okay, so and that can only happen when you take right amount of risk. Taking risk has got different areas, and equity is one of those areas. Okay, so I have a chart which basically we can play for the subscribers' interest, which talks about that if we invest into equity for more than 10 years, 100% of the time, and in fact if it is 15 years, 100% of the time the equity market has given positive return. Okay, you will be surprised to know that 80% of the time it has actually given double digit return.
So Sandeep, I will stop, because there are a lot of subscribers who are watching this or who would be watching this are not from Mumbai and the big cities. So this concept what you called out, positive return, you concept of double digit return, जरा आप इसको विस्तार में थोड़ा समझाइए.
हाँ, सो अभी ऐसा है ना सर कि ये जो इक्विटी मार्केट है, ये आपको हमेशा, अगर आप 10 साल इन्वेस्टेड हो तो आपको कभी लॉस नहीं देगा.
ओके,
ठीक है, आप कभी लॉस नहीं कर रहे हो. ऑन द कॉन्ट्ररी, आप इसमें 10% से ज़्यादा रिटर्न बनाओगे 80% ऑफ द टाइम. So that's one part. And secondly, I think you rightly said that we are basically a long-term fund, or maybe something we are creating this for a long-term from 30 years perspective, at least 30 years I guess, because normally an individual will be joining at the age of 27 to 30, so probably 30 years is what the stay period is. So वो सिचुएशन में सर कंपाउंडिंग इतना इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है. जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ कंपाउंडिंग आपका जो ग्रोथ है मे बी वो 2 to 3 टाइम्स ज़्यादा हो जाता है. ओके, एंड आई थिंक देयर हैज़ बीन सम स्टडी विच हैज़ बीन डन बाय सम म्यूचुअल फंड वेरी रिसेंटली, जहाँ पे वो बोलते हैं कि SIP के थ्रू यू generate higher money as compared to lump sum investment. And you rightly said that हर महीने पैसा निकल जा रहा है, right, इनका. So which is, it's a general or natural way of SIP.
Exactly.
Okay, natural way of SIP which you are doing, and we are there, will take care of the return part, and unless you take risk, return भी तो नहीं बनेगा ना. तो you have to take risk, you have to take risk in a moderate way, in a right way, which is good enough to take care of your needs when you retire. And उस सब को हम अगर जिस हिसाब से ये प्रोडक्ट डिज़ाइन किया गया है, that all things have been taken care. So I don't think that सब्सक्राइबर को यहाँ कोई टेंशन नहीं लेना चाहिए रिस्क के हिसाब से. That has been taken care. So it's only that he should only think that how he can actually grow his own wealth so that it can take care of his retirement needs.
I want to address a very fundamental question, that what kind of equity exposure currently the government funds in particularly have, so that our subscriber knows that how much of their money is getting invested in the share market. That is the normal term people use. And secondly, when you say share market, is it that you as a SBI fund manager, you will put all the money in SBI stock, or will you buy other stock? So maybe we talk next 2 minutes on this part of the component before we move to the other aspect of the discussion.
So the regulator has been very conscious about this fact.
Regulator में you mean PFRD,
PFRD
Pension Fund Regulatory Development
Authority. So उन्होंने जो प्रोडक्ट डिज़ाइन किया है, दे हैव टेकन केयर दैट कि आपको जो एम्बिट दिया गया है टू इन्वेस्ट, उसके साथ में उन्होंने रिस्क पैरामीटर्स भी डाले हुए हैं. तो आई कांट गो एंड इन्वेस्ट मोर देन 10% इन एनी स्टॉक, ठीक है. सो वहाँ पे क्या है कि आपको एक कॉन्सेंट्रेशन रिस्क नहीं होता है. सो दैट इज़ टेकन केयर, ओके. एंड उसमें भी एक इम्पॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है विच प्रॉब्ली शायद बहुत लोगों को नहीं पता होगा, कि PFRD आज की डेट में आपको सिर्फ टॉप 200 स्टॉक्स में इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए देता है, विच आर साइजेबल इन मार्केट्स शेयर मार्केट कैप, और दीज कंपनीज हैव एग्जिस्टेड फॉर लॉन्ग पीरियड, जिनकी हिस्ट्री भी है आपके पास, ठीक है. एंड टू आंसर योर क्वेश्चन, हमारा इक्विटी एक्सपोजर क्या है, सो इट हैज़, वैसे रेगुलेटर ने हमें डिफ़ॉल्ट स्कीम में 15% अलाउ किया है. तो नॉर्मली इन द रेंज ऑफ 14 to 14.5 is where the PFMs try to remain invested in equity.
Thank you on this question. So before we move to the next question, what I want to say, what Sandeep was talking about concentration risk. So every time if I have to de-jargonize it, मतलब simple भाषा में अगर बोलता हूँ, आपकी सैलरी से जो पैसे जा रहे हैं, if 100 rupees is going out of your salary, and when Sandeep and his colleagues in other mutual fund, pension fund are investing, out of this 100 rupees, only 15 rupees, Sandeep, if I am correct, get invested in share market.
Share market.
And in that 15 rupees, also what Sandeep was saying, gets invested in small proportion in more than around 200 stocks. Am I correct, Sandeep?
No, so I am allowed to invest in 200 stocks, लेकिन आज की तारीख में अगर हम देखें तो ऑन एन एवरेज एक PFM का कम से कम 80 स्टॉक्स में एक्सपोजर है.
So this 15 rupees out of the 100 rupees get invested at least in 80 stock in various proportion. And the next question which आप लोग पूछेंगे, that ये 85 rupees जो है उनकी इन्वेस्टमेंट होती है बॉन्ड्स में एंड गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज में.
Right, sir.
So maybe those questions of what bond, what is little about bond, government securities, maybe I would like you to answer a little more so that the subscriber understands that how the bond, what are the government securities, briefly before we move to the return and the other discipline part of it.
So सर आपने बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा है. ये आपका 85% ऑफ द फंड, जिसमें से मे बी आई कैन से 55% इज एक्चुअली इन्वेस्टेड इन गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज़. यहाँ पे आपको कोई भी इन्वेस्टमेंट रिस्क फ्री तो नहीं होता है, बट मैं ये कह सकता हूँ सेफली कि इनमें कोई क्रेडिट रिस्क नहीं है, पैसा तो मिल जाएगा. ओनली रिस्क दैट यू हैव इज़ दी इंटरेस्ट रेट रिस्क, ठीक है, वो सबको होता है. उसके अलावा अराउंड 28 to 30% आपका कॉर्पोरेट बॉन्ड में जाता है, विच आर 90% जो हमारा इन्वेस्टमेंट है वो AAA रेटेड है. AAA रेटेड मतलब सेफेस्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट्स दैट वी कैन कॉल. तो 85% of this is basically something which is trying to kind of address the inflation risk. Okay, सो आप इन्फ्लेशन से थोड़ा ज़्यादा बना ही रहे हो यहाँ पे, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली योर रिटर्न्स आर इन टर्म्स ऑफ रियल रेट ज़्यादा होता है, तो यू मेक हायर रिटर्न, एंड ओवर एंड अबाउट दैट उसको जो थोड़ा एक किकर मिलता है पूरे पोर्टफोलियो को, वो आपके इक्विटी इन्वेस्टमेंट से मिलता है, एंड इट इज़ इन लॉन्ग टर्म, तो आपको लॉन्ग टर्म में आप यू मेक गुड amount of value creation for yourself.
But the next question where Sandeep, I want you to address the concern of the people that from 2008-9 when you people started investing the money of government subscribers, and we are sitting today in 2022, we have seen a market crash in 2008, a problem in the overall market in 2012-13, and we had a pandemic in 2020-21. You have seen a complete cycle of, I would say, where market had not positive sentiment, but same time you have given a return of 9.5% and 10%. Not only you, your fund house, others have given. Now all these subscribers, as I called out, they are into 10 to 15 years of their job because they started the job. They will continue to stay in the investment period for the next 15-20 years. Are you sure that you would be able to give them a 9 to 5% and 10% return over the period of next 2-3 decades? But that's the question a lot of them want to answer, and seeking an answer from the system at large, whether it is regulator with the fund manager. What's your view on this?
It's a very difficult question to answer, particularly for a fund manager, because as a fund house we generally believe that हमें कुछ forward guidance नहीं देना चाहिए अपने subscriber को, because it's like we giving some commitment. We prefer not to do that. But मैं आपको एक perspective दूंगा, इसको अलग perspective दूंगा, जहाँ पे see, government is trying to generate a GDP growth of around 7%. With inflation of 4 to 5%, your nominal growth is 12%. So if your GDP nominal growth is 12%, I don't know why the corporate world will not be able to give you return of 12 to 15%. आपका एक real GDP है जहाँ पे आप actually वॉल्यूम टर्म्स में आप क्या ग्रो किए, ठीक है. दूसरा होता है उसके ऊपर इन्फ्लेशन आ गया, तो आपका एक्चुअल ग्रोथ जो है रियल वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ प्लस आपका इन्फ्लेशन मिल के आपको एक टोटल ग्रोथ होता है, वो नॉमिनल ग्रोथ जिसको हम बोलना चाहेंगे. अगर नॉमिनल ग्रोथ 12% है, सो आई कैन से दैट एनी stakeholder within the system जो part of the GDP है, he might also be growing at the same rate because GDP उस rate से grow कर रही है. So आपका components क्या है इसमें, यही सब है, right, जो they support the growth of the economy. तो अगर इनके components इस rate से grow करेंगे तो ही GDP इस rate से grow कर पाएगी. So one of the components is corporate, right? So and these corporates are one who are actually listed on the equity stock exchange, right? So अगर 12% का nominal GDP growth आएगा तो 12 से 15% का corporate growth क्यों नहीं आएगा? Is the question that I would ask to myself, and I'm sure my subscriber will also ask to themselves कि हाँ आना ही चाहिए, right? If they believe in the story of India, which we all believe, right?
Yeah. So ये अमृत महोत्सव का टाइम है. We are talking about next 25 years when we will have 100 years of independence, and we are the fastest growing economy, and next 25 years would be a boom for us. Everybody, all top noted economists are promoting. So what, Sandeep, from a subscriber perspective you are saying is that if the economy will grow for 7% real growth, nominal growth bar 12%, all these corporates, big corporates, small corporates who are investing, they are making profit, their profit would be more than 12%. And if they are growing, naturally the income of those profits will come from the fund houses who are invested in those companies. And that is why you are saying that we can fairly assume that if the economy grows the way it is, will surely give get positive return, whether it is 9.5, 10, whether it is more, but again it's a question of sometimes it would be more. So you are saying an aggregate return, just like we
So यहाँ पे मैं इंटरप्ट करूँगा सर, सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट यू, बट इसमें एक फैक्टर है कि ये जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ दिस इज़ pertaining to equity. Equity is a small portion of it. Okay, there is a fixed income part. अब फिक्स्ड इनकम को आप इन्फ्लेशन के साथ लिंक कर लीजिए कि चलो 4 से 5% अगर इन्फ्लेशन रहेगा और उसके ऊपर 1.5% का रियल रेट होगा तो 7%, 6.5-7% रिटर्न तो बनना ही बनना है आपका एक इसमें, क्योंकि हम लंबे सिक्योरिटीज़ में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं और थोड़े एसेट ऐसे जो हैं जिनमें स्प्रेड होता है, मतलब ज़्यादा पे करना पड़ता है, तो आपको 7.5% रिटर्न तो बन जाएगा आपका फिक्स्ड इनकम पार्ट में, और इक्विटी पार्ट में आप 12 से 15% ऑन एन एवरेज इन द लॉन्ग टर्म आप बना लोगे. सो एक कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ ऑल दीज थिंग्स should definitely give you a good return. Okay, I don't want to ascribe any number, but it should give you good return.
So on this point I will like to tell the viewers that we have a very specific video, we will give a link on this, wherein we talk about how the funds have performed, how they are compared to mutual fund, and all the videos, all the subscribers to watch that video. And we are going to put a screen here to address one question, Sandeep, which people ask, is that bank is giving me 7% return, NPS is giving me 9.5. So what is that 2%? The power of 2%, I want to see them in that.
Actually, I was going to come to that point. So there are multiple products which actually offer you retirement here, but some of them would be giving you in the range of 7%, some might be giving you in the range of 8%. I think EPFO gives you return in terms of 8.1 or something like that at this stage. But we are sort of giving you return of 9.5 CAGR as of today. I mean, what we have in terms of the number which we can talk about. तो ये 1.5 से 2% का जो impact है, I must say that I'm not comparing ourselves with anybody, but I'm just trying to give a difference कि ये 1.5 से 2% का जो अल्फ़ा है या फिर जो इंक्रीमेंटल रिटर्न है, इसका कंपाउंडिंग के साथ इतना इम्पैक्ट होता है एंड इन टर्म्स ऑफ वैल्यू क्रिएशन, वो आप शायद अगर जो आप बता रहे हो दिखाएंगे, मे बी माई सब्सक्राइबर विल बी इन अ बेटर पोजिशन टू सी एंड अंडरस्टैंड कि वॉट वी एक्चुअली मीन.
So आप जो कह रहे हैं, what you are saying, we are going to put it on the screen for the subscriber. So not only it is there in a video, we'll put it on the screen briefly to say that if you invest 50,000 rupees and you get 8% return, and if you put the same 50,000 and you get 10% return, 1.5, 2%, what does it look like after 20 years? I think subscribers should watch that. It's on the
very
screen
important,
right
very
now.
important, sir.
And that's going to be a very fundamental factor that the subscribers have to take into consideration. So from a market expert, I would like to hear from you that what are the aspects of financial planning which a subscriber should do, and the second question is that does NPS helps in the process of overall financial planning? So that's my next question to you, Sandeep.
सर, आपने अभी बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा है, तो इसको मैं 2 पार्ट्स में आंसर करना चाहता हूँ. पहला तो यू हैव मल्टीपल नीड्स इन योर लाइफ. ओके, some are short term needs, some are medium term, and some are long term. Long term is like retirement, what we are talking about. Short term can be आपको एक 6 महीने बाद घर खरीदना है, आप पैसे जमा किए हैं, उसको रखना है. Medium term could be your child's marriage or education and other things. ठीक है. So you have to plan for all these things. Obviously we are focusing on long term, but there are products within our NPS which also take care of your short term needs and medium term needs, and we as a system need to educate our subscribers that what are those products and how they can use this product to actually plan for their requirements.
So before I go into what are these product lines available, Sandeep, I want to tell from a fund manager perspective that a person works for 30 to 35 years, and today the longevity in the country is around 78. A person lives up to 78. Going forward, it will move up to 85.
Right, sir.
That means there will be a 25 years of time, and between a husband and wife, there will be 30-35 years of money they need to save, which is almost equal to the time they have worked.
Right.
What is getting saved today is 14% of the salary as far as NPS is concerned. So I want from a fund manager and a financial planner, I look at you as a financial planner, to just dwell upon this fact that should a subscriber be happy that my 24% is invested, that will take care of retirement, and should they do something more to invest, and why? Before I come, how NPS takes care of that?
So, so to look at it, I would, from a fund manager's perspective, I would want to give my subscriber a slight understanding about this. So यहाँ पे क्या है ना सर कि नॉर्मली हम सेविंग को इनकम माइनस एक्सपेंडिचर कहते हैं, राइट? बट आइडियली इट शुड बी अदर वे. इट शुड बी इनकम माइनस सेविंग, जो बचता है वो आपका एक्सपेंडिचर होना चाहिए,
करेक्ट,
राइट? सो दैट आप सही तरीके से यू आर एबल टू सेव फॉर योर लॉन्ग टर्म फ्यूचर नीड्स, not just long term but your short term needs also. You rightly said that longevity is improving with all the medical facilities coming into picture. I am sure that this will all the number will keep increasing, and आपको अपनी फ्यूचर के लिए अच्छे से प्लान करना पड़ेगा. ओके, unless you plan it properly and you're not beating the inflation in a right way through your investment plans, maybe आप वो right amount of corpus create नहीं कर पाओगे for your long term needs. So it is important that you have a proper planning through I mean whichever source you think is right, but it's always advisable to the subscribers that
they should save more.
They should save more, and they should save in a way that they have exposure to all the asset classes in a right proportion.
That's a very excellent
So
point.
You and I are here to help them in this entire process. तो हमें उनको मेरा एडवाइस यही रहेगा कि उनको अपने शॉर्ट टर्म, मीडियम टर्म और लॉन्ग टर्म नीड्स को आइडेंटिफाई करके उसके हिसाब से अपने इन्वेस्टमेंट्स को प्लान करना चाहिए.
Excellent point, Sandeep. So I would tell the subscribers, and this is not for only government subscribers, this is for so many employees who are in NPS and part of the corporate world, and independent people like chartered accountant, lawyers, all kind of people who have an NPS account, that NPS has been able to innovate and bring products which are very aligned to this financial goal. So the subscriber in NPS need not just have a statutory contribution जो उनकी सैलरी से आ रही है, वो उनको टॉप अप कर सकते हैं खुद की कंट्रीब्यूशन के लिए, एंड इट डज नॉट टेक ए मिनट ऑल्सो. जो भी सब्सक्राइबर का एनपीएस अकाउंट है वो इंटरनेट में जाके हमारी eNPS साइट में जाके खुद कंट्रीब्यूशन कर सकते हैं. They need not go to the office and do the contribution, and then can do it any number of time when they want it. And very shortly in time to come, we are going to allow them to even set a SIP, a monthly system where they can do these investment and they can look at it. We have a NPS Prosperity planner which addresses some of these questions, and this planner is available in our website, will be available in the login of the subscriber, where they can see how much their money they have contributed, what is the current value of this money, and as the system knows that they are going to be in the system for so long, it also does a probability that what would be their wealth when they are going to retire, let's say somebody in 2045, somebody in 2047. So this is one component where we are very serious, we are educating.
मैं थोड़ा सा इंटरप्ट करना चाहता हूँ आपको, but these are information which should be available to the subscriber, but मेरी रिक्वेस्ट अपने सब्सक्राइबर से ये है कि आप बार बार जाके उसको ना देखिए, बिकॉज यू हैव इन्वेस्टेड इन अ लॉन्ग टर्म प्रोडक्ट 25 से 30 साल के लिए, ठीक है. Unless you are not getting suitable return which you are as per your expectation for a period of year or two, होता क्या है कि आपके हमारे जो इन्वेस्टमेंट डिज़ाइन या पैटर्न है जो हमने क्रिएट किया है, वो एक रिटर्न देने के लिए एक इन्वेस्टमेंट साइकिल के थ्रू होता है, ठीक है. सो दे मे नॉट गेट रिफ्लेक्टेड इन 3 months परफॉर्मेंस और 6 months परफॉर्मेंस, दे मे टेक सम टाइम. सो आप उसके बेसिस पे जाके PFM चेंज करना या फिर आपका ऐसे सब डिसीजन लेना, दैट मे नॉट हेल्प यू इन द लॉन्ग टर्म. So that's a sincere request I have to make to my subscriber, because it's my responsibility कि वो right decision ले अपने long term पैसे के साथ.
So excellent point Sandeep, that pension fund की investment को दूसरी investment की तरह न देखें, because you are investing for long term. The other point which I wanted to talk, which you touched upon, is short term needs and long term needs. So long term needs के लिए आपकी pension account है जिसमें आपकी एम्प्लॉयर से पैसे आ रही है, जिसको आप टॉप अप कर सकते हैं, द वे आई टॉक्ड अबाउट इट. एंड देर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड ए टीयर 2 अकाउंट विच कम्स विद अ टीयर 1 अकाउंट. इफ यू डोंट हैव ए टीयर 2 अकाउंट, it just takes 2 minutes to open a tier 2 account electronically, no paper is required, and you can start investing in the tier 2 account, and this tier 2 takes care of those short term needs. Now short term need for a young person who is 25 or 26 years old can be maybe buying a expensive motorbike, or even going to a road trip, maybe kind of a thing.
Probably for his long term study, I mean further studies also it can
further studies also it can be. Whereas certain things are little in the future, maybe children's education. So the tier 2 account has no lock-in, it can be done, and we have a separate video, we'll put the link, where the merit of a tier 2 account, how you can open a tier 2 account, we have explained in great detail around that. But currently this conversation we would like to close.
एक क्वेश्चन है, सिर्फ एक क्वेश्चन का आंसर मैं चाहता हूँ आपसे, आप अभी दे दें. Can I have tier 2 account without having tier 1 account, or I need to have tier 1 account?
Excellent question, good Sandeep, you pointed out. दो पार्ट में आंसर करूँगा. tier 1 account is the primary account, and tier account होने से ही tier 2 रह सकती है.
अच्छा.
But I can make any investment in tier 2, take it out at any point of time. My employer, whether it is government, otherwise have no role to play. And second important part है, NPS के most of the tax benefit are linked with the tier 1 account and not to the tier 2. Technically, there is a scheme where for government subscriber there is a tax saving scheme in tier 2. But primarily, because I am now addressing the entire subscriber at large, सारे benefits जो tax के हैं tier 1 में, tier 2 is like any other investment. And I would urge the subscriber to have a tier 2 account, open a tier 2 account, and use it and experience the tier 2 account. So Sandeep, thank you for your time. Thank you for educating our subscribers. We will continue to have this kind of discussions in the future. And to my colleague Mandar, I would request him to look the closing time. And this chat show is in the middle of Navratri, and I wish all my subscribers a happy Navratri on behalf of Protean and SBI Pension Fund and NPS.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such an insightful thoughts. I'm sure now subscribers would have become more enlightened about investment management and returns in NPS. Also, they must have become aware about option of scheme choice to maximize returns, ways to top up contribution in NPS to enhance their pension corpus, and option of tier 2 to fulfill their short-term needs. As you would have come to know through this session that NPS is different from other pension products as it caters to both pension as well as short-term goals. That's all in this chat show. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Also, I request you to share this video amongst your colleagues, friends and relatives. Press bell icon to receive more updates on NPS. Thank you.